5-0 here against Clay Gereffi, is able to move on to 6-0. Perhaps Gereffi, the unknown, able to take down Tom Ross. We will find out here momentarily. Clay on 6 cards, the boss on 7. Tom Ross currently number 2 on our Player of the Year leaderboard, as we'll start things off with a 3-bit Inspector. For Gereffi, it's an Evolving Wilds. We'll head back the boss's way. He'll draw a card. See how he wants to move forward. The neat thing about Evolving Wilds, it kind of signifies a lot of different decks. So Tom almost certainly doesn't know what he's up against just yet.
No, and Evolving Wilds is kind of stock in nearly every 3-color deck and a lot of the 2-color decks in Standard.
Yeah. You need that mana fixing. Tom will play a Plains. It's neither the White Orchid. The thought process there is, well, I'm not going to get any value out of this.
Thought process is, can't be too proud.
Yep. Just play your Grizzly Bear that's got first strike. Get out there.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. I can respect it.
Tom does not strike me as the type of guy who gets fancy trying to get that land out of the Night of the White Orchid.
You know, there's no need.
Right.
Time and a place. Time and a place. Gereffi did search up a forest with that Evolving Wilds. Here's a Plains, and now this is an Elvish Visionary. Cantrip. We'll draw a card, pass that turn back. Over to Ross we're going to go. A player who we watched win back-to-back opens here in Season 2 with White-Red Humans. Tom has done some outlandish things on the SCG Tour. That might be his greatest accomplishment. Here come the beatdowns. Self-values attended pre-combat. Chump blocking and goes the Elvish Visionary. The follow-up here for Tom is a Kithian.
Not a great sign there for Gereffi because it means he's not even playing towards any sort of a merge play. I'm sure Tom is thrilled by that chump block.
Yeah. And this was my concern when I was looking over the deck list. I was looking for something like Planner Outburst, Kozilek's Return, just some sort of way to stem the beatdowns, and there's really nothing here. Now there's a Prairie Tremors on the battlefield on tap. Let's see what this will be. It's a Nissa. Going to search for a forest. That's all well and good, but that thing's outclassed.
Yep. This is the concern I have in the matchup here is Gereffi just getting run over in the first couple turns of the game. And he even had a pretty interactive draw by the standards of his deck.
Yeah.
A play on 2 and a play on 3, but unless he comes up with some really big play that I don't think his deck has access to game 1, I think we're going to be going to the sideboard of games pretty soon.
Well, it's interesting. When I was at Grand Prix Portland, a lot of the players that I played against there, a lot of them just said, I did not bring stuff for your deck. You know, there's all these new decks that did well at the Pro Tour. A lot of the attention is on, obviously, Band Company, Blue-Red, Thermal Alchemist, the various Delirium and Emerge decks. The focus isn't really on humans right now. You get to take advantage of that quite a bit, as there's a Declaration of Stone going to take care of the Nissa. Of course, give Clay a clue because Tom's such a nice guy. And Winter Champions will come down to pump up the Thalius Lieutenant, attack for a whole boatload of damage, transform Kithian into Gideon. It starts at 3, it's up to 5, and he's going to pass the turn back. I think this will be Clay's last draw step of this particular game. You see he's going to do some math about how much damage am I taking next turn? It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and do the math. Not super relevant. Ross has got points to spare.
Yeah,
that's the short of it.
Going to start things off with an Oath of Nissa. Take a look at the top 3. And no more.
You think that satisfies Tom a lot, where he plays a game where his opponent plays nothing but cards that draw other cards, and his opponent dies with 7 cards in his hand?
Probably makes him happy.
That's got to be so satisfying.
Yeah.
I know this. I am also wired the same way.
You've lived that life, yes.
Right.
So have
I am wired that way as well, and man, that is rewarding. The purest form of card advantage is just counting up all the opponent cards in your dead opponent's hand.
Yeah. Well, that's something Tom's able to do this game, as he does win game number 1 here over Clay Gereffi. Mono White Humans very quickly destroys Bant Crush as we take a look at the sideboards here for both players. And we are going to start with Gereffi, who's got 2 Peace of Mind, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Ojanai's Command of Seasons Past, an Ishkanograph Widow and Orbs of Warding, a Sorin Grim Nemesis, a Linval the Preserver, a Descend Upon the Sinful. That's a 3rd copy on the board, along with 2 Dispels and the Sigarda Heron's Grace. Any easy fixes here?
I do not like any of the cards in his sideboard for this matchup. I can get behind the Descend Upon the Sinful, just another sweeper, even on the slow side at least. I think gives Gereffi some shot here, but the rest of the stuff is pretty pricey. He can cut some of his other pricey stuff that's worse, I suppose, if he wants to go to cards like Linvala and Sorin that gain life and provide a little more immediacy, but I am not seeing a lot of cards that dramatically change the matchup here.
Other side of things here for Tom Ross, a Plains, a Stitcher's Graft, I love it. A Grist Boon, a Silk Wrap, 2 Stasis Snare, 2 Gideon Allies, and a card, 2 Repeal the Abominable, 2 Militia Captains, along with 2 Hollow Moonlight, and then a Tandem Tactics.
So I think we're going to see the Hannier Militia Captain just because there's not a lot of removal on the other side of the table. I think the 2 copies of Gideon can come in as just a hedge against sweepers in a longer game. And based on the cards that Gereffi played, I think it's possible Tom will identify him as playing some sort of Collected Company strategy. So the Hollowed Moonlights might come in, even though that's not really what's going on here.
Well, that gives you an idea of what both players are working with. So they'll get ready here for game number 2. And while they do, I guess we'll talk about the old StarCityGames.com Creature Collection. A favorite of mine and yours. You can get old Young Burrow Mancer here. It's available on playmat sleeves and player bundles. And we also have one of our fun little fellas here. I know you like this one. The old Fruit Bat.
I do like a Fruit Bat.
Yeah, giving some beatdowns on some watermelon. Also play sleeves and player bundles there as well. Go to StarCityGames.com/Creature Collection for more information about that.
And if you happen to be in New Jersey this weekend, you can also stop by the dealer booth because we always bring all these playmat sleeves and player bundles, all the events we go to.
Well, you know, you want to spend some time talking about Tom?
Yeah, sure.
Could probably do that for a long time. It's starting to be a real conversation between him and Jerry, who's the best player in SCG Tour history. I'm not sure. Tom, 14 open top 8s, 4 open wins, 3 invitational top 8s, 2 wins. Has won back-to-back opens, won back-to-back invitationals. I guess he hasn't been the Players' Champion yet. Neither is Jerry, though, so they're both kind of vying for that title probably this year. Would be no surprise if we saw him duke it out in the finals of that thing. He took a break from Magic for a couple of years, came back and hit the ground running is an understatement.
Yep, 2014 in particular.
Yeah.
The accomplishments, the back-to-back invitational wins, his run on the Grand Prix circuit. Last year, I would say, by his standards, perhaps backslid a little bit, but this year he's been back at it, crushing events.
It's just been, I mean, for you and me, it's obviously been a lot of fun to watch because we like to play aggressive decks. So to see Tom play Humans, Boss Red, Boss Sly, Infect, he's playing Dredge this weekend in Modern. At no point have we really seen him, cast a blue spell or, any slow mid-ranging nonsense. Every time he hasn't really had a lot of success with it because it's just not his style.
People who always beat down and play the game at a high level, they are pretty rare, and they are a treat to watch. A lot of players who get very good, they start wanting the agency, the feeling of control and all that kind of stuff, and they gravitate towards those sort of decks. So the players like your Tom Rosses, your Paul Rietzels, they do not come along very often.
They're 2 of my favorites.
And,
Tom and Paul.
for you and I who are, in terms of style, wired the same way, not quite on their level as players.
Absolutely.
But, of the players that we regularly see on the SCG Tour, Tom is my favorite to watch. Period. End of sentence.
Yeah, it's right there for me too. He starts things off with the Town Gossipmonger for Clay, a basic forest off in Evolving Wilds. Now it's a plane, simply going to pass the turn back. The Deadly One-Lander.
Which is not beyond Tom. We've seen this a lot. And not necessarily a mistake to mulligan. Not arguing that either.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this leads me to believe, as you see the Reflecting Mage come down, so what Tom is doing here is Gereffi targets Town Gossipmonger with Reflector Mage. Tom says, okay, I'm going to transform it into the Rabble, which means that I can actually replay it.
Yes.
So here's Knight, which is going to search up a plane, so now there's no mana issues whatsoever. And we might actually see him, might see him replay Town Gossipmonger because that's not the card that got bounced inside of Rabble is.
And if you wonder why Tom kept the 1 land hand. Now you're seeing with a 2nd land, everything unlocked.
Yeah, you got to keep a lot of hands like this. You know, ideally for when you're on the draw, it's 2 planes Knight, and then a bunch of spells. So you can have this sort of hand, and actually now he can threaten the transformation of Kithian. Gereffi, well, he's just going to play a 4th land and pass the turn back. Now, isn't it funny? He looks like a Collected Company deck right now.
Exactly, and this is a weird spot for Tom to be in because he saw Elvish Visionary and Nissa last game. 2 cards very easily could be in a Collected Company strategy. Fletcher Mage fits right in.
So we might see Tom play around a card like Collected Company. He might play around something like Spell Queller.
And I imagine that this happens a lot with Gereffi's deck.
Yeah, for sure.
He passes with 4 up. He's played a lot of 2 and 3 mana creatures that look like they fit into that skeleton, and the card is nowhere to be found.
The only tip-off that he's not a Collected Company deck is the fact that he played Oath of Nissa last game.
Right.
At the very end.
But yeah, I agree with you that it's unlikely you would want to play that with Collected Company. You probably just want to play with another creature, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot rule it out.
Here's a Thraben Inspector. Tom will get a clue. He's treading very carefully here. Now, if he knew what he's up against, I think we would have seen the creatures come in by now.
And this is where your playtesting can go sour. Often you're playing against people and you're just assuming full information. You get in a tournament setting, especially early on, it doesn't work that way.
Yep. Here's Griff's Boon. What now? I don't know what comes next here for the boss. Hiya! Just in the air. Very, very cautious turn. Aha! It's a Blessed Alliance. That's not Collected Company at all.
That's funny. Tom there doing the safest possible attack that he could make against Collected Company.
Yep.
But the worst attack against Blessed Alliance,
yes.
most likely.
Almost certainly. Now, we're reading Blessed Alliance. We're also going to read Stitcher's Grasp, because that's what Tom just played. That's funny. I actually had a conversation about this card at the Grand Prix last weekend where we're saying, okay, how about a little of this action with Always Watching? Ever heard of it? 1 mana, 2 to equip. Equip creature gets +3/+3, and then there's a lot of negative text. Whenever equip creature attacks, it doesn't get to untap. You move it, you have to sacrifice the creature you moved it off of. Awesome flavor of that card. It can be very, very powerful, just like the card Gereffi just played in Sigarda. Parents' Grace. Some trouble brewing here.
Yep. And Sigarda also mighty fine against Stitcher's Grasp because you just have a sea of chump blockers. Yeah, Gereffi, I think, getting a lot of edge this game by the fact that, he sort of looked like one thing game 1, and it turns out he's something else entirely. Tom last turn making pretty safe attack against Collected Company, or as safe of an attack as he could come up with. And the sequence here of Blessed Alliance into Sigarda is all sorts of trouble.
Oh, there's Always Watching. That's step 1 of the Stitcher's Grasp puzzle.
Yes.
Combo, as you like to say.
I do like combos.
Another Griff's Boon. Not sure there are any great attacks here for Tom. So he's just going to pass the turn back. However, if I'm Tom, now I'm starting to think, okay, what the heck's going on here?
Well, I like the line that Tom appears to be taking from my perspective, is just load up the town Gossip Donger to be large enough that it can effectively brawl with Sigarda. Once that's off the battlefield, then you have better size and you're going wider.
Okay.
But Sigarda is a long-term concern.
For Gereffi. Nissa again. Okay. Gonna search for a forest. That'll be land number 6.
And now we're at the flashpoint where Descend Upon the Sinful is a card
Very real.
that Gereffi can deploy. And if we know about any vulnerability to mono white humans, it doesn't quite have enough card advantage and staying power to beat a sweeper. It's very rare.
Yep. Well, it doesn't have it. Okay, so I agree with your statement, but certainly in situations like this where you don't know it's coming, it's way worse for you. So you're playing against a black deck. It's like, okay, I'll try to balance against Languish. The way that the opening turns of this game play, Tom just said, I'm just going to play my stuff.
And on top of that, Sigarda is going to force Tom's hand. He's not going to have the luxury of just incrementally developing his board and getting him points of damage here and there, because Sigarda is just going to be so problematic as a blocker that he's going to probably have to put his whole hand on the table. And at that point, beating a sweeper is nearly impossible.
All right, boss man, what comes next for you? You saw no transformation of the Town Gossip Monker just yet. He can kind of do that at will because of always watching. So now I'm curious to see if he wants to go toward Stitcher's Graft. Declaration. Timely.
If this lands, it's really bad news for Gereffi. He had a kind of a lot of eggs in this basket.
He did. The tough thing, though, is we don't know what's in Gereffi's hand. There could be anything in there.
Yep.
If you're Tom, you don't know what to expect. You give your opponent a clue. That's not the end of the world. Graphs up. Something's getting +3/+3. Tom's not even sure what it's going to be. Funny thing about this is you kind of got to get it right the first time. You can't really afford to get it wrong. I think he's thinking Inspector. It'll turn into a 5/6.
The other thing about all this is Gereffi did not even bother to do anything with the Sigarda.
Yeah, that's a little
So now there's some mana up too,
Yeah.
and who knows what that means.
There's the graft. Quick creature gets +3/+3.
Tom is, I call this being in the weeds. You do not quite know what's going on the other side of the table, and enough weird cards have come up in weird spots where hard to be too confident in any of the lines you're taking right now.
You're just kind of playing a guessing game.
Right.
We saw the last guessing game you played, which was just attack with the knight. All right, Blessed Alliance, worst attack you can make.
Right.
You know, you're in a guessing game here.
Sigarda? Like, what is that? What is that all about?
I like the transformation. You got to do it with Kithian. You can't afford to do it with the Stitch Graph creature.
Right. It's complicated.
That's a no-go. Can't do it with that one. Looks like Gereffi's going to sacrifice a Evolving Wilds. Get him some. Oh, yes, of course. Why wouldn't he get a swamp?
A swamp? Like,
Yep.
what is that all?
What else you got in that case, Clay? Just one swamp in his deck.
Yeah, right now I'm looking for land number 7, flip the Nissa, and descend upon the sinful. That's what I'm feeling.
Good place to be.
That's what I'm feeling right now.
Well, I think you might be getting step 1 of what you asked for. Bang.
Sweet.
Transformation complete. Starts on 3. He does have double white.
Tom down to 1 card in hand, I believe, plus the clue.
Plus it. Another Nissa. It's just okay. Not that exciting. What comes next here for Gereffi?
A lot of big plays here. Descend upon the sinful, Linvala.
Part the Waterfield is probably not that bad.
Go again.
I don't know if it's in his deck right now. Oh, it's Jace. Never mind. Thought it might be another Nissa. Oh, the old checklist card trickery, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, pass the turn back with 5 mana. All the colors available. Sure.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sure Tom is just thinking, can you just tap out for a thing? Like,
Have it not be too bad, though.
right, yeah.
Oh, just play an air elemental. I can beat that.
Right. Even Linvala would provide some clarity. I mean, it would be kind of bad, but it's not necessarily game here.
Yeah. Tom trying to figure out how he wants to attack. Now this is, it does feel like stabbing around in the dark.
Yeah.
That's honestly what it feels like. I think this is just an attack with the flyer at Nissa, I believe. But the others, actually, I think he's attacking with everything, and he's just to move the rabble over to the Nissa. We'll get confirmation on the attack.
Tracking is a little bit difficult now because he's always watching, providing vigilance. We're not sure what's attacking and what's not, but based on Ross's body language, Incited Rabble going at Nissa and the other two attackers just going at Gereffi appears to be what's happening.
All right, see you later, Nissa. Kithian transformation complete. Now, that's kind of a weird block if you think about it, because now, Tom is just too experienced. He's got to have a Wrath on the mind now.
Yep.
Now he's probably thinking it's Planar Outburst and not Descend upon the Sinful, but you know he's got to have that on his mind. Bunch of mana. Okay. Ultra-Tide's Command. Getting back Jace. I'm actually happy I can't see Clay's hand.
Yeah, this is the best part.
I don't know what's going to happen.
What is he tapping for? Yeah.
I was going to activate Jace. A lot of people, when you're watching it, Magic, a lot of people, they want hand cam, stuff like that. This is the mystery.
Yeah.
This is the actual fun part. It's like watching a game from Tom Ross's seat.
Right.
You have no idea what's coming. Tom you just do your thing. I have no idea what it's going to be. I know there's an Elvish Visionary over there. And Clay does have to discard a card still, which I believe will transform his Jace.
Yep, plenty of cards in the graveyard.
All right, see ya, Jace. Transform. Well, I feel like it's safe to say if he had to send upon the Sinful, he would have cast it by now.
Yeah, that
sounds likely.
That sounds right to me.
Okay. So I don't think that that's an option right now for Clay. But the way he's in that finger tapping, I'm familiar with that. I do it myself. That's counting. I don't know what's counting towards.
Now Tom's got to be thinking, is there like a combo in this deck or something?
Sorin on the splash. See you later, Gideon, which was beginning to become a problem. Don't forget to use that Jace.
And to some extent, I know it sounds silly, but Tom is sort of relieved by that play. It's like it's a normal Magic card. Like it's good here, but it's going to trade, and we're going to move on with life.
Yep, it's good. It's good enough. I can do that.
It explains the swamp. Thank goodness I know what's going on with the swamp now. There's it cast a black card. Okay, starting to get my head around this a little bit.
Okay. All right. So plus that Jace, let's move it along. Back to Tom Ross. Tom's turns are a lot less interesting, let's say. They're straightforward human turns. That's Thalia's Lieutenant, maybe. He was thinking about it. All right, he's going to play it. Counters up. Beatdowns engage in a moment, I believe. Yeah, he can kill both planeswalkers. I can't imagine him playing something else.
Another fine-looking turn, but, you know, what's the plan here if there's a sweeper?
Yeah, that's the big question. And I think Clay just needs to draw one. If Clay draws a sweeper, this game's probably over. Especially because Descend Upon the Sinful, then it has Delirium.
Right.
It's going to get the 4/4 with it as well. What an awesome match. Well, awesome game. I mean, we still have another game left, potentially.
Yeah, I've been in Tom's seat plenty of times.
I
do not know.
I have a couple of times. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
If you ask me to write out this person's deck list, and do I get more than 75% of it right, I would guess no.
No. You spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the black mana was for. Here's Elvish Visionary, draw a card. That thing's a little outclassed on this board, to say the least.
Another speed bump.
Yep.
But it's another draw towards the sweeper, which is, I think, ultimately what this game is going to come down to.
Traverse with Delirium. What do you got? What do you got?
Ishkana, it seems okay here, I guess.
What do you got in that case?
Maybe Den Protector for a rebuy on a rebuy. Lots of ins and outs here.
Dragonlord Slumguard does not appear to be an option. Okay, Ishkana.
Yeah.
Now, in a lot of circumstances, that's very hard for humans to beat, but Tom's creatures are pretty big right now.
Yeah, he can size through this.
Yeah.
It's more time. It's more time to find a sweeper, but it's not like this is a roadblock by any stretch.
It'll take a turn or two.
Yep.
To get through, assuming there's no Declaration of Stone involved. Expedition Envoy in Ross's hand, among other things. Looks like another copy of Always Watching as well. Ross trying to navigate through this maze. Well, we're trying to do it right here along with him. Gereffi has made it interesting. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and you know, part of the complexity here from Tom's side is Gereffi's played a lot of powerful cards, but they haven't amounted to much. The Jace kind of just died. The Sorin killed a Gideon, but is all of this part of some long con to rope him into dumping out his whole hand, or is what you're seeing what you get? Is there no big payoff at the end of all of this?
Well, I think you had our question just answered right there. Tom just dumped his hand.
Yeah, I think at this point he's starting to not buy it.
Oh.
Like the best thing that he could go get with a Traverse here is an Ishkana that doesn't even really do a whole lot.
Yep.
Time to just put all your chips in the middle. No reason to give this deck extra draw steps.
If you have a Wrath, okay.
Yep. Okay.
We'll play a third game.
And even if he does have a sweeper, Gereffi's down to basically no cards in hand, and Tom has 2 copies of Always Watching and a Grist Boon, so he could reassemble pretty fast.
Oh, he's tapping his mana really fast. 6. Yep, there
okay.
It is.
Yep.
I think he just drew it, honestly.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, there's Descend Upon the Sinful. We'll take a look at that one. It's finally here. Exile all creatures. Put a 4/4 white angel creature token when flying onto the battlefield if you have Delirium, which he does.
But any one threat, with the Always Watching, the Grist Boon, and the Stitcher's
Draft, yeah.
Yeah, he can beat a 4/4. Any creature does it.
Found one. Dragon Hunter. Equip. Go. All right, Clay. Elvish Visionary. Peel 1. Land for turn. Beatdowns for 4. Pass that turn back. The boss will draw. Yep, he's gonna sacrifice Evolving Wilds, will Gereffi. Ross is gonna go to Grist Boon, just like you called it. Assemble a creature. That's what he's doing. And this gets to ignore Elvish Visionary and also just be way too big. That's an Expedition Envoy, and I don't know how. Looks like Gereffi's in some trouble. I don't want to say I don't know how he's gonna get out of it because there are ways, but. Here's Ochitai's command.
Yeah, I mean, he can Ochitai command back at Jace and Descend Upon the Sinful again and keep trying to do this song and dance.
Yep.
The problem is that any one creature Ross draws suddenly is, all right, we're back to square one.
Jace activation. It'll be transforming here momentarily.
I mean, it feels like we've gotten to the type of spot where Gereffi should be a huge favorite. But unless he has ways to break up the artifacts and enchantments that Tom has, there's no guarantee that the Descent Upon the Sinful is a lock.
Well, the thing that Tom can do in a spot like this is if he just draws a string of creatures, it's bad news.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to say one land loses in the game, but if he just draws a string of creatures, Clay's in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
And one of the things when you're playing humans in a spot like this where you're trying to come back from being behind, a card like Thraben Inspector, if you draw that, you hit a clue, you make a clue, you sack it, you draw another creature, all of a sudden things start to spiral out of control for Clay. Didn't get a great look at the draw step. Kind of shook Tom a little.
Oh man, it's a Gideon.
It's a Gideon,
which I guess qualifies as a creature, but one of the worst draws in the deck because I think he'd rather just be dumping mana into the Stitcher's Graph and the Griff Spoon.
Now, what's not exciting about this is, okay, I can play my Gideon. What am I going to do with it? If I make a 2/2, always watching isn't even a positive effect on it or the Stitcher's Graph.
Right.
So he's almost forced to just say Gideon plus. Gonna see if it resolves first. Looks like it's going to. Now he's got to figure out what the heck to do with it. I know the one thing he won't do is make an emblem. All right, grapple with the past. Plains, crush. Yeah, get back Ishkana.
Sure, I guess.
Yep. Draw a card. Hiya. See you later, Gideon. Plus that Jace. Play Ishkana. Some spiders on the way. I guess the black mana in the deck, huh? Not just for Sorin.
Right.
Anamorph. Pass the turn back. Will Ross play on? Griff Spoon. Defensive strategy. Gonna D up now. Den Protector's gonna unmegamorph, get a counter, bring something back. I
think of Sorin.
Yeah, I can't see him coming back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Sorin. These cards are too powerful that Gereffi has on the battlefield. Humans doesn't win games like this. Two, three, four, 5 toughness on that creature. Can just kill it now. Always watching does not play a role with tokens. Peace. That's done, and we're done. Clay Gereffi's going to win a really weird but fun game number 2 over Tom Ross. Bant Crush with a little spice. Going to tie it up against Modern White Humans. Tom is even smiling a little bit here because what the heck was that?
Right. That was just a rundown of random cards that are legal and standard that have an above average power level.
So, no surprise here. You see the sideboards on screen. Tom's going back to the drawing board because I think his plan is, okay, every dumb creature in my deck, I'm just going to run you out of the gym like I did the last game.
Yeah, if I'm in Tom's spot, all I want to do is curve as low to the ground as possible and run you over.
Yep.
That is, and now, I guess he can't be 100% sure, but he can be fairly confident there's no collected companies in the deck. That all the sort of, not only the sideboarding, but the way that he plays the game out of respect for collected company, that's all out the door. And when you saw 6-man sweepers and Sorins, just run this dude over. That's got to be the plan here.
The thing, too, Magic is a game about information. And Clay gave a little bit away in game number 1 by showing Oath of Nissa before conceding. But also, as we saw with that grapple of the past, he revealed Crush of Tentacles. So now it's like, okay, I saw some real wonky things going on, but also you're a Crush deck, and there's kind of a prerequisite to make your deck a Crush deck with Den Protector and various other things. So, yeah, I don't think you can handle a beatdown.
And the other side of that is also, once Clay gets to 6 mana, all hell breaks loose. So
yes.
you got to try to end the game before he can get to that amount of mana.
He's got to get the game over with. That's what he's going to try to do. So, what a fun game to watch there, I must say. Very, very enjoyable. Well, you see the shirt that Tom Ross is wearing. If you want to get that T-shirt yourself, you can certainly do that. There he is wearing it, official shirt of StarCityGames.com. You can go to StarCityGames.com/apparel. Polyblend there for you, screen printing in the United States. And solid shirt, unisex as well. So for males and females alike, go to StarCityGames.com/apparel. Get the official shirt of StarCityGames.com today. Be like the boss. I don't know if you're wearing the shirt means you're going to win as much as he does. I don't know if that translates, but you can certainly
Probably
look
not.
like it.
That seems like an irresponsible thing to suggest.
Look,
that was one of my favorite ads back in the day. Was Grant Hill, the Sprite commercial. He's like in the middle of this like pretty intense workout, and then he just starts drinking Sprite.
Yeah.
If you did that in a real workout, you would just puke.
Yeah, you throw up everywhere. Yeah.
We did talk about doing that. We refer to it as the Grant Hill challenge of working out for an hour and then trying to guzzle a 20-ounce bottle of Sprite and see what happens.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really bad.
So, yeah, well, I'm not trying. I am really into responsible advertising.
As am I.
I sort of want to just be, these are the things that we have, they exist. You can spend your money on them. You don't have to. It's all fine.
Yeah.
And just suggesting that buying the shirt will make you play like Tom Ross in a similar space of destructive suggestions as Grant Hill guzzling a Sprite after a workout.
So when I was a kid, one of my best friends around the corner, his favorite player was Grant Hill. My favorite player was Anthony Hardaway.
Good choices.
But Anthony Hardaway didn't have a beverage sponsorship.
Right.
So I decided that he drinks root beer.
He had the little penny thing going on.
He
which
did
was
have that.
That was Converse?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. So I decided he drank root beer.
Yeah.
And so we drank Sprite and root beer while playing basketball outside. Didn't chug it because, we'd throw up.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I would love to see just professional athletes having to actually drink the things that they're sponsored by.
Yeah. Just
like
have
on the bench of a game.
Have a sack at McDonald's and then work out and then go drink your soda as you're, doing your thing.
Yeah. James Harden just having to eat Taco Bell's breakfast after every game. I think Clay has taken a couple mulligans here.
And this is really bad news for Clay because the how he gets a foothold in this matchup is 6-mana spells.
Yep.
And getting to 6 mana and having the spells before Tom kills you when you're on 5 cards. Very tough.
It is pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. I must say. But if we're being honest, I think Clay's deck is going to mulligan some.
Yeah.
4
colors, a bunch of weird individual cards.
Yeah. You're going to look at some pretty crazy opening hands with this deck. They're not always going to come together the way that you like them to. He's going to scry. He'll keep it on top. Oh, 1-drop. Surprise, surprise. Evolving Wild's land here for Clay. He's going to sacrifice that and shortcut a little bit. Tom's going to play some Knuckleheads. Here's a Thais Lieutenant. Getting here for 3 points of damage. Gereffi's already down to 17.
Yep.
Magic is a beautiful, complex game, but sometimes it can be very simple. Just play your creatures and attack.
Do you think that we get past the 4th turn here? What's your guess?
Yes. I don't think we get past the 5th. Hellish Visionary.
Okay.
Guaranteeing another turn.
I don't know if I would say that.
That's true. Land. Always watching. Get in.
Yeah, we'll get 4 out of this at least. Yeah.
Chump blocking duty. Yep. Tom will deal 2. Gereffi's going to fall down to 15. Over to Clay we go. Does he have land number 3? A lot's got to go right for him here.
He's got to basically produce a land and a chump blocker until he gets to 6 mana.
Traverses your land. There's a basic plains. No chump blocker, however. Tom going to do a quick delirium check. 3 of them. Ross will draw. Stasis Snare. Now for Tom, you see the lands that Clay has out. A forest, an island, and a plains. No language to worry about. The earliest Wrath effect that he could play is on turn number 5 with Planar Outburst. So I think he's allowed to just dump the hand if he'd like.
Yeah, I guess the question is, can you beat something of substance on 4, Sweeper on 5, and the Citrus Graft here could be aligned to let him avoid even that outcome.
Tom's pretty smart.
Yep.
Play around Blessed Alliance, even equip the right creature. Pretty smart.
Although that's a land drop and essentially a chump blocker.
There's another land. Pass. Attack. You got another Bless Alliance? Nope. I think he's got to play one more creature. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to lock it up through a blocker.
Present lethal, yeah.
Yep.
And then if Clay does have, Planner Outburst, so be it.
I mean, Tom's still got several cards in hand. Yeah, Threadman Inspector is another great way to advance the board and hedge around a sweeper.
Mm-hmm. Instant sorcery creature land, so Delirium here for Gereffi.
Ishkana could be a route. Ishkana could get him to 6 mana.
Yep. Make him hang on long enough. Keep playing.
I mean, that line is such a no-brainer that if he's not doing it now, it means he doesn't have it.
That's correct. And Tom Ross is going to get the job done here over Clay Gereffi. 2-1. Mono White Humans will take care of Bant Crush. And hey, I think we just had our most fun match of the day.
Game 2 was sweet.
Yeah.
I love the games that involve not enough information on one side of the table, a player playing an orthodox deck with a mixture of cards, and slowly but surely the lack of information dooms the player. Saw a lot of that in game 2. The hedge attack